Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Be the Ripple. It's season 2, and this season is an invitation to look at impact differently, not as something loud or instantaneously measurable, but as something that unfolds, something that's quiet, something that can be slow, and sometimes in ways that we don't get to witness it. So today we're exploring the ripple effect of what happens when a health tool is designed around dignity instead of anxiety. Because the most meaningful influence often doesn't show up in a headline. It shows up in a tiny shift, how someone speaks about themselves, what they believe is possible, and when they stop hiding. So this conversation is with Dr. Akvile. She's the founder of System Akvile, and I hope you'll listen for the unseen ripples in this episode, the ones that change life from the inside out. So we're so excited to have you here today, Akvile. You're the founder of System Akvile, and it's a digital health system platform, and it's built around something that I believe that we don't really hear discussed enough today, and that's dignity. So your work lives at the intersection of data and health and that quiet, emotional reality of being seen. Because for so many people, especially young people, skin issues aren't just skin, are they? They become a story that they carry with them. And it's a story about worth, and it's a story about confidence and about whether you belong. So I appreciate you being here today, and that you aren't trying to create this perfection machine, that you're building a system that helps people learn about patterns and to step out of shame and decisions from clarity. And that's exactly why your voice belongs in season 2, because this season is about movement, and it's about bringing influence that's sometimes subtle and delayed and sometimes often misunderstood, but that changes the way that people live inside of their own lives. So thank you very much for being here today. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation on this cold, snowy Hamburg Saturday. Actually, it's Saturday we decided to do this
Saturday.
today. Yeah. So thanks for being here. And I'm excited to learn more. We've had a couple of conversations, but why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hi, Sabine. Thank you for the invitation. It's really awesome to be this morning, this snowy morning. Yes, I am Akvile. I am the founder of System Akvile, and I'm really looking forward to the discussion about the dignity, about what we are building, and just maybe about the future for the younger audience.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're addressing issues that a lot of young people struggle with. And but maybe we can go back a little bit and tell me, like, how did you get here? How did you decide to build the system, which we'll learn more about, and maybe share the why with us?
Hi, yes. Actually, where to start? That's a really good question. I would say that when we started building the platform, at the beginning, it was about the skin, it was about acne, it was about skin issues. And then we saw from the data, because from the beginning, we made clear that we collect first-hand data and we learn with our users alongside from them, and not just, but it's some kind of gut feeling what we're doing. And we started seeing that actually 75% of our users who come to our platform are actually not happy with the skin, even if they do not have any visible skin conditions. And it really made us think a lot, not just about the industry, but about the platform we also are building. And
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning, I was even joking. I was actually, it's not about fixing your skin, it's becoming more about fixing how you feel about yourself, how you look
Right.
at yourself. But actually, it made us think a lot about the system young people are now living, the environment young people are living now in the TikTok world, in the perfect beauty filters. Like now,
Yeah.
AI personalities are joining the conversation, so they look even more perfect, having
Mm-hmm.
some visible imperfections that's
Right.
directly sometimes on your face, and it's really hard to hide this. So it affects even more than just physical health, it's emotional health as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why we started moving more and more into this dignity topic. And dignity for us means we tried to take the shame away of this topic, and it's more about giving self-control for people instead of creating urgency, of creating blame and telling, oh, you're doing something wrong. That's why you have skin issues, or like that's why you don't like how you look. But like most of the time, you can't even control this, especially if you're in your
Right.
puberty, hormones are going
Mhm.
around, like it's not your fault. And it's basically what we're telling our users as well. Like, it's not your fault. You are not alone. It's
Mhm.
absolutely normal.
Yeah. I think it's incredible the words that you use and I think that we, in general, society uses them too when we talk about having skin conditions and acne. It's actually quite sad that we use the words shame, that we use the words of not having confidence because of acne or another skin condition. And this idea of perfection, what is that? But we hold ourselves to these standards that come in from everywhere else, especially think the generation that you're dealing with and that are using your app. And I think it's incredible that you're looking at, okay, how do you help them feel differently and to not feel that shame or to take that shame away? Because you're right, it's not them. What can they can work on specific things. But we talked about earlier that sometimes somebody can feel almost like that they don't take care of themselves because they have acne, or others perceive them potentially as not being hygienic or taking care of their skin, and that's just not the case at all. So it's kind of like breaking taboos as well about how we see and discuss skincare issues.
Exactly, because somehow we learned in the society to accept many things already, body positivity and all these things. But somehow, with skin positivity, like I saw some movement online and and hashtags and all these things, but it doesn't mean that skin positivity that you don't need to take care and you accept that you have acne and you don't do anything about this. So it's not about this what we are trying to do. We really try to help people, to empower them to have some control in their actions, their education and understanding, and sometimes even small habits can have an impact. And at the end of the day, if we really talk about, medical conditions, acne, etc., then you need to go to dermatologist and, go on treatment. But, for most audience who come in the app, they are not on medical conditions. It's really more about mental perception of
Yeah.
perfection and how should they look. Is having one pimple already in drama?
Yeah.
And how I feel about all these things. And it's really helping just navigate with noise and really understand sometimes what can I do for myself.
Yeah.
What can I try? I'm on the right path, or like, where should I start actually, and all these things. So it's basically what we are doing and what we are developing.
So that's really interesting. So maybe tell us a bit about the platform. So how does it work? Like we're talking about designing a system around dignity, and how did you do that? And was this? I think what I understood from when you started describing it, that this was an evolution as well to bring this piece into it. So tell us about that evolution and how did you take that step to bring that and develop that into the platform?
Exactly. So our platform has main features. When we started, we had the face scanning technology, some education in the app, skincare tracking, and just daily logs to track the habits. But what we saw after analyzing the data from onboarding questionnaires, because I think we were one of the first skin companies who started really looking into this psychographic things as well, like how do I feel about my skin and all these topics. So we started seeing this data in like psychodermatology. I think it's now the terminology we use. So we started looking quite early into this topic because all the time it's a huge gap. Like when you go to dermatologists and they look at you, because dermatologists learned on really medical cases. We see patients all day. So we see really no patients with strong conditions. And it's the same with AI. When you train AI algorithms for skin recognition, you train, on medical grade and all these things. But like, I don't care as a person that someone else has a bigger issue.
Yeah. You care about me.
I
You
care
care
about
about yourself.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's, when the huge gap, you know, you can see the huge gap then, but because I don't care, but when dermatologists look at me and say, yeah, I see the patients all day and it's not that bad, is from his perspective or her perspective, but it's not bad. And it's the same with AI. When you get your score and say, actually, it's not that bad, but it's bad for me. Maybe someone is
Yeah.
bullying me online because of this. Maybe, I'm just not feeling good. So we started seeing, these patterns a lot. Mm, So it became very clear that we are moving more and more into this direction. Skin, anyway, you cannot treat so fast. Like it won't be, that you get a miracle cream and next day your skin is perfect. It doesn't work like this. And it's really, for us, it's more about helping people just understand and learn about themselves, about their skin. And that's how we started improving our platform. So more and more we started moving into this ecosystem for skin happiness and health happiness as well. From meditation with Pimsy, or for example, when you have urges to skin picking, pimple
Mhm.
squeezing, and all these things,
Right.
or you cannot leave your hands out of your face. Uh,
Yeah.
you're just feeling a little bit down. So we said, okay, let's introduce Pimsy. I will tell a little bit more about Pimsy as well.
I can't wait to hear about Pimsy. I've met Pimsy.
It's awesome. And then, we started changing more and more the language in the app. So
Mm.
it's
Okay.
really very positive. And like we still want to know that people take action. So it's not like, that you're doing everything right and all these things, but it's like more, you're not alone. It's about micro learnings, and it's like being like a bit like a cheerleader for you instead
Yeah.
of, oh, you're doing everything wrong.
You're doing everything wrong. Sounds like it's a very practical process too. So it sounds holistic that you're looking at first of all to let people know that it's okay. And here are some practical steps that you can take. And also things like I think probably that we do like the closet way of being that you think these things or you can't, you want to squeeze the pimple, you want to do all these things, but you don't necessarily talk about that with others because you don't feel comfortable, because you feel the shame again. But you're bringing that into the platform too to make that normal and to take the taboo away from all of these things that you're actually think in your head too, because we can be dangerous in our own heads sometimes, can't we? Like what we think and what we assume is maybe abnormal or not normal, but you make that all okay, I think, for the people, for the users.
Yeah, I think it should be okay. Like I spend a
Mm,
lot of
yeah.
time on social media as well, because it's like where our audience is. So it's like makes sense for me to be
Mhm.
on social media and just really get the vibe and insights. Like people talk about these topics already, about pimple squeezing, non-squeezing, and all these things. But the thing is, on social media, we have so much noise and
Mm,
it's constantly everything changing, and with dopamine kicks and 3-second frames and
yeah.
everything is so fast moving. So what we want in the app to have is more relaxed environment where you can spend time with yourself and really,
Mhm.
really sometimes even reflect.
Mm.
Like I'm touching my face a lot sometimes, all the time I'm getting breakouts, around my jaw because I sit all the time. And when you
Yeah,
start, with
true.
micro learnings or micro meditations, then you really like start reflecting your own behavior as well. And this is
Right.
what we want with the young users. Like instead of, giving them the feeling that, like it's your fault and you're doing everything
Mhm.
wrong, actually, to give a possibility to reflect as well. And maybe I'm really sometimes going to bed with makeup on, and that's why I'm breaking out.
Right.
Maybe I'm touching my face a lot, or maybe I'm not following my routines or something. And really seeing the patterns in your own behavior and seeing, okay, maybe I can tweak something and like learn
Yeah.
about myself.
Yeah, that's a really good point to actually reflect and to see your own patterns because if you don't focus in on them, if you don't see them reflected back at you, it's a lack of awareness. So, actually, something that the platform does too is to bring that awareness back to you so you can see and go, it's like, yeah, when you hear yourself, when you watch a recording on yourself, all of those things help reflect and go, oh, I didn't know I was doing that. Or that's really valuable. And actually, that's a really interesting thing also to learn for young people to learn that's going to be so beneficial in the rest of their life. Actually, that time, that meditation, and that ability to self-reflect is so valuable. I didn't learn it until way too late in life.
Exactly. And that's not easy way to build as well because dopamine, hate rates and clickbaits they sell and
Right.
they
Yeah.
generate conversions. But like if you want to go through more positive ways, so the way is a little bit longer. So it's a lot
Yeah.
experimentation, a lot of understanding behavior science, UX UI, like user interface, user experience, and
Mhm.
experimenting a lot, like how you put the buttons and changing and all these things. Like I could write a
Right.
book already because it's, human psychology is a little bit different. We want quick things, and young audience
Yeah.
want quick things even more. But if health, it doesn't work like this. You need to
Yeah.
put effort. You need to change something.
Yeah, so true. You're right, we do. I feel that as well. I just actually wrote something about that, a post about these quick fixes. Get this in one day. This morning routine will change everything in one day. And these instantaneous gratification. And you're right, this is a process. It's actually teaching people about that as well. So, how many users do you have now? And as you started to scale, what surprised you around when people started using it daily, the information that you received?
Like we're hitting 1 million probably by the end of Q1. So that's really, really cool. And what surprised me most, I would say, when we started growing globally, I really thought we will have quite different user behavior because of culture, different countries, and all these things. But actually, Gen Z and Gen Alpha are globally quite similar in how they behave, and from a data point of view, it's quite similar beliefs on all these things. And I think it's because this is the generation that is basically growing up on social media. And the
So
trends
sure.
trends are global. They can start in Europe and go to India,
Mm.
maybe less from India to Europe, but like the trends are global.
I can imagine that you also feel the sense of responsibility because you're stepping into their lives and you're influencing decisions that they make about their skin and how they feel about themselves.
Exactly. I would I wouldn't say yes responsibility, but I would say it's a huge opportunity as well. And to be not a role model, but really to make a shift in the industry, to make a shift for the generations, because it's a gap and someone needs to step in. And I think we should start moving from this attitude in quick fixing, in anything quick fixing, like in especially in human health. We grew up in the environment for the dieting, and all these things. And this quick fixing in human health doesn't exist. It,
So
it
true.
maybe
It just
bring
doesn't.
some results, and it's the same with skin health. This quick fixing approach, it just didn't bring any results. So maybe it's time to really step in and really guide the younger generation in better habits and just more self-love. And
Definitely more of that. And maybe breaking some of the myths. I know that there are also daily quizzes, so you're very creative in the way that you engage with the users. And when we in one of our previous conversations, we were talking about myths around also acne and your skin. And what do you think in those quizzes, or what are you building in to kind of break those myths for the users?
we're experimenting a lot with quizzes, because like we launched this last year, actually. Almost, it was like, let's do something, quick coding, quick engagement, and let's see how it works, because we needed this daily feature in the app, so that people can come daily. I know with micro education is really cool, and quiz is really awesome tool for us as well to gather the data, gather the insights, gather the beliefs around different topics. And we launched this and we saw, wow, it's amazing, it's working. People are really engaging, and the insights they're getting, it's very valuable as well, because it gives really the feeling what's happening. So we're now redoing the quiz as well to make it even more engaging, and it's actually developing even in the direction of the game. So something like Duolingo, a little bit faster moving education. And what we do, like we have always not just what's like myth, but like right answers as well. So you can have like not just a feeling, that it's always just wrong what's coming in the quiz. And it's really about the micro educations, about the statements, what we see on social media, for example, trending, or some biohackers, or someone is promoting on social media, and we take this and then put, and the quiz is really like a living tool. It's changing, it's
Right.
improving. And we're experimenting a lot. How we put the answers, how we make like right or wrong, so it doesn't feel like a school quiz. It should feel like more
Right.
like a game. And like works really well.
Okay. So you're building in actually the quizzes then build in myths or information that they're receiving in TikTok or social media. So you weave that into those quizzes. So that's is it very real time then?
Exactly. It's really real time, and they're uploading the questions constantly.
Mm.
So it's not like that it's given, it's not AI made. We come with a statement, we do the research, we upload them in the system. Then we see how people are responding, what kind of direction we see, and we develop around this as well.
That's incredible because information changes daily. And so how valuable is that that people are being hit with information that's potentially a myth or not accurate about skincare or dealing with acne, and that you can bust those myths quickly. That's fantastic. I love that. We talked about Pimsy. We mentioned Pimsy in the beginning. So tell me about Pimsy and why you created a character and the kind of the evolution, and where's Pimsy going?
Exactly. Pimsy, that was huge project. I think from November, we started developing Pimsy. We had this idea. Actually, it's very inspired by Duolingos. Duolingo is this educational app, and we have Duo, and Duo is social media star. They won so many awards for Duolingo's campaigns, and like it's very unique, and I really liked this Duolingo approach because like learning languages or learning mathematics, I think we learned mathematics as well. It's boring. But it helps really engaging, and it's the same with skin, especially when we talk about educational topics, what we have in the app. It's also a little bit boring because our audience is used to quick content. So we thought, okay, what can we have? And especially in the age where AI personalities are now becoming real influencers on social media. So for us, it was clear we don't want to use AI personality. We wanted
Mhm.
something what's right for our topic. And then
Okay.
my team started pitching, and my designer, she was like, what if we do Pimple as a personality? Can we? And I was like, okay, it's a task for you. Can you make Pimple look cool? Because pimples
Okay.
actually, if you talk about a pimple, I don't think that the first thing what you would say about pimple, but pimple is cool. No, pimple is not cool.
Right.
Well, most people would say, oh, disgusting.
No, there's not. Yeah. The furthest thing from cool.
Exactly. And then, she started showing me Pimsy, and I was like, and then, we have this Pimsy as it now. And I was like, okay, cool. I think I like it. And then we started pitching to the entire team, to the developers as well. And I was like, seeing, who will sign on the mission.
Mhm.
Like, I was feeling Pimsy, and the same, I called my lawyer, and I was like, "I think I have a vision." I have a
Ooh.
vision. I want to I think I want to launch as Pimsy, and Hansel was like, "Uh-huh," and then he was, like, telling him and showing, and he was like, "Okay, that's cool. It's cool, I like it." And I was like, "Okay," lawyer on board. Then, I started talking to investors as well. I was like, "Yeah, Pimsy."
Okay.
So investors with kids, they got it. Pimsy was born in Foz. Pimsy is not brand extension. It's not, a mascot to the brand. It's actually a standalone.
Okay.
It's standalone. Pimsy has its own social media channels. It's a lot of work as well. And Pimsy, for us, it's in the app as well. It's a support function, like to cheer you up, to take this shame and stigma away, because exactly you don't talk about pimples in a cute way. Pimples are not cute.
That's true.
And then we say, okay, what if pimple is actually cute and looks approachable because it's so cute? And Pimsy on social media maybe has friends and all these things, and is sad sometimes and buys a lot of skincare and does a lot of skin myths like putting lemon, and then trying to get
Yeah,
rid of
that's true.
itself and
Yeah.
all these things, in more approachable, less human related way. So that's Pimsy for us, to really open the discussion about how we see certain health topics,
Mhm.
and like to make it more approachable for our
Okay.
audience as well.
Okay. So everyone should check out the platform and meet Pimsy, or go to Instagram and meet Pimsy too, right? So
TikTok,
we'll share
TikTok.
that a bit later, or TikTok also.
Exactly.
Incredible. And again, I think that what you're doing is constant development, right? You have to look at what works, what doesn't, how does it impact people, how do they engage, is it relevant? So I can imagine you're just constantly looking, and the data must be incredible what you're looking at and evaluating and making decisions on every day.
Yes, like, actually, sometimes I even try to look less in the data because exactly the data what we have, it's a lot, it's large, but sometimes also not forgetting the gut feeling and just really thinking, okay, does it make sense from business perspective, from user perspective, from the direction we are going? Does it make sense? Yes or no? Like these sanity checks and all these things.
Yeah. No, that's great. And Akvile, the podcast is called Be a Ripple, and you're definitely a ripple in what you're doing and impacting people's lives. And for someone listening today who is potentially struggling with their own dignity issues, something that they might hide or, that we manage a lot silently and internally, what would you want them for this week to consider to potentially change and support them?
That's a really, really good question. What we always say now as a mantra in the app for our users, you are not alone and it's not your fault. And I think when you understand that it's really not your fault, that you're doing enough, so it really changes the perspective, how you start approaching with dignity issues, less, as something to fix, and more maybe, okay, how can I start learning more about this?
Yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah, the learning piece, and it's not your fault. And little steps. I mean, what you've described today are also consistent steps, micro learnings, micro everything. You don't have to, there's not a quick fix. And you need to be patient and you just take those little steps. And those can have a big impact. And I think sometimes we often wait for these moments that everything changes instantaneously. And I think it's important just to say that's not the reality. So be kind and patient with yourself and take those steps, and that you're helping people to uncover those micro moments that they can take to improve.
Exactly. And these micro steps, they are hard to do and hard to
Yeah,
maintain. Routines are difficult, especially, around the health, because human brain wants the gratification because I'm putting effort and I want to have something then, and
yeah,
I want to see
true.
something, and with health topics it's always more complicated. That's what science says, why most health routines fail, because we don't have this gratification. But I think if you
Yeah,
start even doing even more, like smaller steps, and really, sometimes just reflecting yourself as well, um, it will be easier to do this sometimes micro changes in your
yeah,
routines, in your behavior, in your perception, attitude, how you talk to yourself. And actually how we
yeah.
talk to ourselves matters so.
Shoot. Yeah, that is so true. I think that is such a big message. The words that we use for to ourselves are just detrimental. Words that we would never say to someone else. What we turn inwardly, um, yeah, can be so detrimental or positive. I mean, we hope that they're going to be changes to be positive. So hopefully people using and then or in the platform that's going to change, that these steps that you're helping them take and to understand and breaking taboos and helping them look at their acne issue as a more holistic thing and not just one pimple or one outbreak on your face or more. I understand that it can be intense, but to take these little steps, and it can be hard. It's not something that is gonna be easy, and there could be 2 steps forward and 4 back, but eventually there will be other steps forward, so it's, staying focused on those.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, Aquila, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure having you just to start, my weekend with you this morning, Thank you for that. And thank you for what you're doing. We sometimes think of platforms and we think these types of things can't be beneficial, or it's just something you use and don't pay attention to. But this is can actually be changing to individuals and their lives. And the data that you're looking at and everything that you're doing around this is so significant, and I think helping so many people. So thanks for that. And to those of you out there listening, I'd like for you to think of a place in your life where you've been designing something around anxiety or trying to avoid embarrassment or rejection or being found out, which I think most of us have experienced it. But instead, ask yourself, what would it look like if I redesigned that one area around dignity, as Akvile is doing in her platform instead. And remember, we've talked about it doesn't have to be big. It can be small steps. And let's kind of break down this idea of what's perfection. We can make one small shift, a practice this week. And Akvile, thank you for building your platform with integrity and for naming something that so many people carry around quietly with them, and to help them to start to build dignity and to feel not shameful about issues that they have with their skin. And as we close, I want to leave you with this. A ripple doesn't need to have permission to begin. Sometimes it starts with a sentence that you actually give yourself, and sometimes it starts with a decision not to lead with shame. It's in our conversations and it's in your inner voice, what you say to yourself. So if there's something in this conversation that has stayed with you, take a moment and ask, where can I design my next step around dignity? And if you know someone whose story belongs in season 2, somebody that's creating a movement, it can be quiet and steady, send them my way, because I'm always looking for individuals that are creating ripples in this world, and not necessarily that always announce themselves so boldly, but are ready to change things. So Aquila, thank you for being a change maker and doing what you do.
Thank you for having me.